Yeah.
And we are live.
Happy Friday. Sorry about hump day, but Richard had plans. I am old new dude. He is,
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
and this is a
My boss
Tyrion
had
chapter.
plans.
Huh?
I didn't have plans. My boss had plans. Anyway.
Oh, well, yeah. And, well, that means you had plans too.
I had plans thrust upon me.
Yeah, it's okay. Life happens. Well, seeing how we just had a Jamie chapter, and I was talking about how funny and smart he is. Yeah, me praising Jamie. I mean, heaven forbid.
That would
But
never happen.
now we got a Tyrion chapter, so we'll get to kind of do apples to oranges just to see if we could see some decline in the funny or the mental capabilities of Tyrion as we see the incline of the Jamie funny and mental capabilities to see if they're on the opposite path that they have been in the
Right,
past.
right, and I mean, he hasn't flipped the switch yet, and
Right.
it's debatable whether Jamie really has up until his whatever he wants line from the White Book, but um, and one of the things about Tyrion is that his decision to be the monster that everybody imagines him to be
Yeah.
is foreshadowed with the exact same language that Danny uses to imply that she's going to be mad. Um, so specifically, yeah, no, I just realized that over the last like week or so. So Danny, when they said you're mad, Danny goes, "Am I?" Right? Um, Joffrey says, "You're the monster." Am I? Well,
Okay.
and both of them kind of embrace it at that moment, even though neither of them have made that switch yet, right?
Right.
Um, anyway, just something I thought of as I was looking through some of these chapters and things.
All right. Um, Newsflash: on our way to 200. I am at 191 now. So
Wow.
to those that have mistakenly uh,
All the more reason why we need to do things like explain Dorcas at each time and so forth, right? Because you keep
right.
adding
Yeah.
new subscribers.
Yeah.
We haven't been doing a good job of that, so we'll have to make sure we do that, especially since
Yeah.
it kind of starts off right here.
I'm pretty sure the YouTube algorithm doesn't know who the hell we are. Um, well, to be fair, and I had talked to Chris about this. I put zero time into this pretty much. I in 3 years have not learned how to edit a video. Um, I just think that's splash.
I've given up on it. So
Yeah, well,
I might put out
I will
another
not
video.
lie.
In fact, I want to put out a wins and winner prediction video at some point. So
Okay.
I do want to put out a wins and winner prediction video and maybe talk a little bit about some of the ideas that I mentioned that I'd want to do future videos on. Plus, reiterate some of the things that we've talked about and some of the things we've thought through and so forth. So
Yeah.
maybe some of the additional evidence that supports the triplet Targaryens, kind of the decision to more embrace the Gerald Hightower, some of these things. So I'd kind of like to kind of clean up some of the loose ends that from the other one where I was a little bit hesitant to embrace some of these ideas. I'd like to add
Right.
in discussions of Dorcas, talking about the ice dragon, talk about I guess this definitely does count. So anyway, yes, I do want to put out another video, but I'll probably just do it like this style. I'll probably just do a recording on my phone and not edit it or
Well, I mean,
minimal editing because it's a pain.
look, I know that pictures and switching from this to that and all that stuff is extremely, I mean, impressive and all that stuff. It's the words that matter. Okay, it's
Yeah, yeah,
it's what you're
like
saying. Like the next video that I want to do, even though I haven't put out a video since did the real Tormund, which is probably my favorite video because it's mine. It's all mine. Uh, it is basically a who's who of A Song of Ice and Fire because so many people have, like Arya and Danny, have so many different names.
right.
There are people.
At some point we should go through it and list all of these times he's already done this because people
Yes,
act like it's the fandom's going crazy, but the number of different mistaken identities that he's deliberately put in the story.
Exactly.
Right. I mean,
Or even, I mean, like who Jon Snow is, all the different possibilities of who Jon Snow is. I mean, there's so many different theories or names
right.
or identities. It's almost everybody in this story is somebody different. Even Jamie. Jamie
Yeah.
goes from Kingslayer to Sir Jamie or Jamie the Golden Hand, Jamie the Just, or whatever it is. I mean, Tyrion with his demon monkey, whatever. I mean, everybody has different identities throughout the story, and they also have different identities in our mind. Um, the potential of who Azor Ahai is, which I think is Jamie, but that's okay. But an argument can be made that even Gendry could be Azor Ahai,
Sure.
with really thin tinfoil, but the argument can still be made. And almost zero chance of it being possible is still not zero, though. There's still that
Sure.
slight point
Well,
zero 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 one.
and one of the things I really want to emphasize is, which I don't think I did it, and we did a great job of talking through this last time,
Yeah.
our very last episode, but that I didn't do enough of it in Triple Targaryens, which is that George believes in ambiguity and leaving his options open and considering multiple interpretations to be quote correct, and so when he verifies that Joffrey sent the cat's paw to people making an app, or that Lyanna is Jon Snow's mother to people making a TV show, he verifies that their interpretation is a correct interpretation, but that doesn't mean it's the only correct interpretation. And I don't think I focused on that. I think we did a great job of that.
Yeah.
I think we did a great job of that discussion. Yes, last Monday, I guess it was, right? Our last episode, but
Well,
I didn't do enough of that.
Well,
And
I
we
saw
need to
something.
emphasize that more sometimes.
Yeah. George, I think saw something that George says, "Quit pestering me about Winds of Winter," and you have pointed it out and calling it the weeds of winter
Right.
repeatedly, and I can't agree more. I think he has made so many branches that the possibilities. Oh wait, I can't do that. Oh no, I went too far this
Right.
way, so I can't do this way. I mean, he's having a hard time getting the plant to get to the flower. I mean, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I would love to do the who's who with a video with me and you together, so we can really give it.
Yeah, that's gonna take a while to put together. We better start working on that. That's gonna
Well,
take a while
I'd
to put
actually
together.
started on it like 2 years ago. I just never did it. But
yeah, and Toodles has one of his first in his list. He does some of that, and I don't think it's all of it by any stretch, but
yeah,
he does some of that.
Well, I mean, having you on the video with me will add some intelligence to it, and having me on the video with you will add some humor. So we're like the odd couple.
Hopefully.
All right. Without further ado, I know we took up enough time. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it away, man.
Yeah. I'm going to be tempted. We may have to bring up our previous conversation off that we had here in the first 5 minutes as well. So I know when we should when Shay is talking to Tyrion about the wedding. But anyway, Storm 12, Tyrion 2. It's time to put that rock hard bed of yours to better use. The eunuch was humming tunelessly to himself as he came through the door, dressed in flowing robes of peach-colored silk and smelling of lemons. When he saw Tyrion seated by the hearth, he stopped and grew very still. My Lord Tyrion came out in a squeak, punctuated by a nervous giggle. So Dorcas smells of lemons because he is entirely in on Dany and the Triple Targaryens. See, Triple Targaryens episode 4. For anyone new to the channel, we believe Varys is Cersei's maid, Dorcas. I'll expect your video sometime after Winds of Winter is published. That's not right.
Yeah.
Geez, that's anyway.
That's cold. That's cold even for Pod. I'm hurt.
Yeah. So you do remember me. I mean, I do think it's that the way that he kind of freezes, he grew very still, implies that he's kind of scared of Tyrion, and we'll talk some more about why that could be.
Also, it was one of the few times we've ever seen Dorcas surprised.
True. It's not the only time, but
Yeah.
it always has to do with Tyrion and Shay. But that's partially because he's the main POV and you're working with him, working with
Yeah.
Dorcas. So you do remember me. I'd begun to wonder. It is so very good to see you looking so strong and well. Varys' smiled his slimiest smile. Though I confess, I had not thought to find you in mine own humble chambers. They are humble, excessively so, in truth. Tyrion had waited until Varys was summoned by his father before slipping in to pay him a visit. The eunuch's apartments were sparse and small, 3 snug, windowless chambers under the north wall. I'd hoped to discover bushel baskets of juicy secrets to while away the waiting, but there's not a paper to be found. He'd searched for hidden passages, too, knowing the spider must have ways of coming and going unseen, but those had proved equally elusive. Pardon me. There was water in your flagon, gods have mercy, he went on. Your sleeping cell is no wider than a coffin, and that bed, is it actually made of stone, or does it only feel that way? Damn, Pod, I won't even say 4. Varys closed the door and barred it. I am plagued with backaches, my lord, and prefer to sleep upon a hard surface. I would have taken you for a featherbed man. I am full of surprises. Are you cross with me for abandoning you after the battle? Maybe think of you as one of my family. Abandoning you after the battle. Is that why I should be cross with you? Anyway, it was not for want of love, my good lord. I have such a delicate disposition, and your scar is so dreadful to look upon. He gave an exaggerated shudder. Your poor nose. Tyrion rubbed irritably at the scab. Perhaps I should have a new one made of gold. Nice golden hand foreshadowing. What sort of nose would you suggest, Varys? One like yours, to smell out secrets? Or should I tell the goldsmith that I want my father's nose? He smiled. My noble father labors so diligently that I scarce see him any more. Tell me, is it true that he's restoring Grand Maester Pycelle to the small council? It is, my lord. Do I have my sweet sister to thank for that? Pycelle had been his sister's creature. Tyrion had stripped the man of office, beard, and dignity, and flung him down into a black cell. Not at all, my lord. Thank the Archmaesters of Old Town, those who wish to insist on Pycelle's restoration on the grounds that only the Conclave may make or unmake a Grand Maester. Bloody fools, thought Tyrion. I seem to recall that Maegor the Cruel's headsman unmade 3 with his axe. Quite true, Varys said. And the second Aegon fed Grand Maester Gerardes to his dragon. Preston has talked about that and how it's been kind of retconned back and forth with as George put out the first in novella form and then in Fire and Blood, to try and make this be somewhat more true than he briefly screwed up on earlier. Anyway.
He made a mistake?
Yeah, that would never happen.
No.
Alas, I am quite dragonless. I suppose I could have, which that's an interesting statement right there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I suppose I could have dipped Pycelle in wildfire and set him ablaze. Would the Citadel have preferred that?
That's another little hint right there, too.
Yeah. Well, it would have been more in keeping with tradition, the eunuch tittered. Thankfully, wiser heads prevailed, and the conclave accepted the fact of Pycelle's dismissal and set about choosing his successor. After giving due consideration to Maester Turquin, the Cordwainer's son, and Maester Eric, the Hedge Knight's bastard, and thereby demonstrating to their own satisfaction that ability counts for more than birth in their order, the conclave was on the verge of sending us Maester Gorman, a Tyrell of Highgarden. When I told your Lord Father, he acted at once. The conclave met in Old Town behind closed doors, Tyrion knew. Its deliberations were supposedly a secret. So Varys has little birds in the Citadel, too. I see. So my father decided to nip the rose before it bloomed, he had to chuckle. Pycelle is a toad, but better a Lannister toad than a Tyrell toad, no? Grand Maester Pycelle has always been a good friend to your house, Varys said sweetly. Perhaps it will console you to learn that Sir Boros Blunt is also being restored. Cersei had stripped Sir Boros of his white cloak for failing to die in the defense of Prince Tommen when Bronn had seized the boy on the Rosby Road. The man was no friend of Tyrion's, but after that he likely hated Cersei almost as much. I suppose that's something. Blount is a blustering coward, he said amiably. Is he? Oh, dear. Still, the Knights of the Kingsguard do serve for life, traditionally. Perhaps Sir Boros will prove braver in the future. He will no doubt remain very loyal. So some speculate Boros might do something brave in the future. Although I'm rather skeptical. Like, Tywin is dead and Boros hates Cersei. So how would this supposed loyalty result in him acting bravely? I think it's probably this is probably one of those weeds.
Yeah. Now, isn't he made the taster?
Yep.
Who made him the taster?
Jamie.
Cersei.
I thought it was Jamie.
Was it Jamie?
I think it's Jamie. I think Jamie decides that, or maybe maybe Cersei does, and then Jamie just tells him that he will, or something. I don't know.
I can't remember. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely discussed in the tower with. I feel like it's Jamie. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway,
All right.
Jamie, Lizzie agrees.
Okay.
To my father, said Tyrion pointedly. While we're on the subject of the Kingsguard, I wonder, could this delightfully unexpected visit of yours happen to concern Sir Borris's fallen brother, the gallant Sir Mandon Moore? Eunuch stroked a powdered cheek. Your man Bronn seems most interested in him of late. Bronn had turned up all he could on Sir Mandon, but no doubt Varys knew a deal more, should he choose to share it. The man seems to have been quite friendless, Tyrion said carefully. I do like the interpretation where Dorcas knew a deal more, specifically where he made a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Sadly, said Varys. Oh, sadly. You might find some kin if you turned over enough stones back in the Vale. But here, Lord Aaron brought him to King's Landing, and Robert gave him his white cloak, but neither loved him much, I fear. Nor was he the sort the small folk cheer in tourneys, despite his undoubted prowess. Why, even his brothers of the Kingsguard never warned to him. Sir Barristan was once heard to say that the man had no friend but his sword and no life but duty. But I do not think Selmy meant it altogether as praise, which is queer when you consider it, is it not? Those are the very qualities we seek in our Kingsguard. It could be said, men who live not for themselves, but for their king. By those lights, our brave Sir Mandon was the perfect white knight, and he died as a knight of the Kingsguard ought, with sword in hand, defending one of the king's own blood. Nita gave him a slimy smile and watched him sharply. So I think this adds fuel to Dorcas knowing why, but it could also be loyalty to Joffrey, or of course, but I do think it's the previously mentioned deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just mentioning that dying in the service.
I just think it's much more fun if he's helping Tyrion while actually knowing that he's the guilty party.
Yeah, that's true.
Trying to murder one of the king's own blood, you mean? Tyrion wondered if Varys knew rather more than he was saying. Nothing he'd just heard was new to him. Bronn had brought back much the same reports. He needed a link to Cersei, some sign that Sir Mandon had been his sister's cat's paw. What we want is not always what we get, he reflected bitterly, which reminded him. It is not Sir Mandon who brings me here. To be sure, the eunuch crossed the room to his flagon of water. May I serve you, my lord? He asked as he filled a cup. Yes, but not with water. He folded his hands together. I want you to bring me shay. Varys took a drink. Is that wise, my lord? The dear sweet child. It'd be such a shame if your father hanged her. It did not surprise him that Varys knew. No, it's not wise. It's bloody madness. What madness is this? Anyway, I want to see her one last time before I send her away. I cannot abide having her so close. I understand. How could you? Tyrion had seen her only yesterday climbing the serpentine steps with a pail of water. He'd watched as the young knight had offered to carry the heavy pail. The way she had touched his arm and smiled for him had tied Tyrion's guts into knots. They passed within inches of each other, him descending and her climbing, so close that he could smell the clean, fresh scent of her hair. Go to your room, my lord, she said to him with a little curtsy, and he wanted to reach out and grab her and kiss her right there, but all he could do was nod stiffly and waddle on past. I've seen her several times, he told Varys, but I dare not speak to her. I suspect that all my movements are being watched.
Hey, any of those new subscribers that accidentally found me will not know what madness is this unless they've watched your video.
They need to watch. They need to look at the Triplet Targaryens on Asher's Trueborn Sons YouTube channel.
There you go.
You were wise to suspect so, my good lord. Who? He cocked his head. The Kettleblacks report frequently to your sweet sister. When I think of how much coin I paid those wretched, do you think there's any chance that more gold might win them away from Cersei? There's always a chance, but I should not care to wager on the likelihood. They are knights now, all three, and your sister has promised them further advancement. 6 still counts. A wicked little titter burst from the eunuch's lips. And the eldest, Sir Osmond of the Kingsguard, dreams of certain other favors as well. You can match the queen coin for coin, I have no doubt, but she has a second purse that is quite inexhaustible. 7 hells, thought Tyrion. Are you suggesting that Cersei's fucking Osmond Kettleblack? Oh, dear me, no. That would be dreadfully dangerous, don't you think? No, the queen only hints. Perhaps on the morrow, or when the wedding's done. And then a smile, a whisper, a ribald jest, a breast brushing lightly against his sleeve as they pass. And yet it seems to serve. But what would a eunuch know of such things? The tip of his tongue ran across his lower lip like a shy pink animal. Um, Preston actually doesn't think that he's a eunuch. I don't know. I kind of think he is. Of course, since we think he's Dorcas sharing the bed with Cersei, I think it would be much safer if if he is a eunuch. Anyway.
Well, I mean, with George, unless you see it on the page, it's always good.
You may plant some seeds in different directions, right?
Yeah. But like I said, unless you see it, it's a good idea to doubt it. And even he's pointed out, even if you see it on the page, don't always trust the person that sees it.
Right.
So I mean, I'm on that he's a eunuch, but I would not be surprised if he's not.
Right. If I could somehow push them beyond sly fondling, arrange for father to catch them in bed together. Tyrion fingered the scab on his nose. He did not see how it could be done. Perhaps some plan would come to him later. Are the Kettle Blacks the only ones? Maybe a plan will come to the High Septon. Anyway. Would that were true, my lord. I fear there are many eyes upon you. You are, how shall we say, conspicuous and not well loved. It grieves me to tell you. Janos Slynt's sons would gladly inform you to avenge their father, and our sweet Lord Peter has friends in half the brothels of King's Landing. Should you be so unwise as to visit any of them, he will know at once, and your Lord Father soon thereafter. It's even worse than I feared. And my father? Who does he have spying on me? This time the eunuch laughed aloud. Why, me, my lord. Tyrion laughed as well. He was not so great a fool as to trust Varys any further than he had to, but the eunuch already knew enough about Shay to get her well and thoroughly hanged. You will bring Shay to me through the walls, hidden from all these eyes, as you've done before. Varys wrung his hands. Oh, my lord, nothing would please me more, but King Maegor wanted no rats in his own walls, if you take my meaning. He did require a means of secret egress, should he ever be tracked by his enemies, but that door does not connect with any other passages. I can steal your Shay away from Lady Lawless for a time, to be sure, but I have no way to bring her to your bedchamber without us being seen. Then bring her somewhere else. But where? There is no safe place. There is, Tyrion grinned. Here. It's time to put that rock-hard bed of yours to better use, I think. The eunuch's mouth opened, then he giggled. Lawless tires easily these days. She is great with child. I imagine she'll be safely asleep by moonrise. Tyrion hopped down from the chair. Moonrise, then. See that you lay in some wine, and 2 clean cups. Varys bowed. It shall be as my lord commands. The rest of the day seemed to creep by as slow as a worm in molasses. Tyrion climbed the castle library and tried to distract himself with Beldakar's history of the Rhoynish Wars.
Before I forget, why would Varys not betray Tyrion when it comes to Shay?
Because Shay is either a spy for Tywin or a spy for Varys, or both.
Or the House Martell and Dorcas,
I should say.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah. Well,
she's a spy, and he wants her planted there. That's or even since she doesn't seem to be entirely helpful to him, based upon seeing through his glamour and so forth. Probably it's Tywin.
Okay.
I've always thought that Tywin was the one who planted her with Tyrion. I think that's the, and we're going to see some of these minor hints that she knows about the poisoning coming up. Right? There's some of those are actually in this chapter. I don't think I called them out, but we can call them out when we get there.
Yeah, we see it. Okay.
But he could hardly see the elephants for imagining Shay's smile. Come the afternoon, he put the book aside and called for a bath. He scrubbed himself until the water grew cool, and then had Pod even out his whiskers. His beard was a trial to him, a tangle of yellow, white, and black hairs, patchy and coarse. It was seldom less than unsightly, but it did serve to conceal some of his face, and that was all to the good.
Hey, quick thing on this beard color. I know it's because of the Kyber, all that kind of stuff, but it does remind me of the Marine and the red and black coarse hair of
and yellow, white, and black, and of course white and black could be viewed as silver, right? And so you could argue that it's silver gold, and right, and if he's a Targaryen, I certainly prefer the Chimera kind of Targaryen, so he's killing his own father.
I cannot pronounce that word. Save my life.
Chimera, I think. Anyway, yeah, me neither. When it was clean and pink and trimmed as he was like to get, Tyrion looked over his wardrobe and chose a pair of tight satin breeches in Lannister crimson and his best doublet, heavy black velvet with the lion's head studs. 7. He would have donned his chain of golden hands as well if his father hadn't stolen it while he lay dying. It was not until he was dressed that he realized the depths of his folly. 7 hells, dwarf. Did you lose all your sense along with your nose? Anyone who sees you is going to wonder why you put on your court clothes to visit the eunuch. Cursing, Tyrion stripped and dressed again in simpler garb, black woolen breeches, an old white tunic, and a faded brown leather jerkin. It doesn't matter, he told himself as he waited for moonrise. Whatever you wear, you're still a dwarf. You'll never be as tall as that knight on the steps, him with his long, straight legs and hard stomach and wide, manly shoulders. The moon was peeping over the castle wall when he told Podrick Payne that he was going to pay a call on Varys. Will you be long, my lord? The boy asked. Oh, I hope so. With the Red Keep so crowded, Tyrion could not hope to go unnoticed. Sir Balon Swan stood guard on the door, and Sir Loras Tyrell on the drawbridge. He stopped to exchange pleasantries with both of them. It was strange to see the Knight of Flowers all in white, when before he had always been as colorful as a rainbow. Yeah, George, we see what you're doing there. How old are you, Sir Loras? Tyrion asked him. 17, my lord. 17 and beautiful, and already a legend. Half the girls in the Seven Kingdoms want to bet him, and all the boys want to be him. If you'll pardon my asking, sir, why would anyone choose to join the King's Guard at 17? Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight took his vows at 17, Loras said, and your brother Jaime was younger still. I know their reasons. What are yours? It's the same reason, Tyrion. Anyway, what are yours? The honor of serving beside such paragons as Meryn Trant and Boris Blunt? He gave the boy a mocking grin. To guard the king's life, you surrender your own. You give up your lands and titles, give up hope of marriage, children. So, I mean, the real reason is he's there to guard his sister from the Mad King, and the reason that Aegon the Dragon Knight, well, actually, originally he signed up so he could be by his lover, the king, right? But then he signed up for the new one to be by his sister, the queen, and of course, Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight wanted to be by his sister, the queen, and Jaime wanted to be by his sister, the queen, which at the time was his sister hopefully getting engaged to Rhaegar was their hope. But anyway,
now with Sir Loras being a version of the young Jaime, and the comparison between her and his sister, with the same they look more like twins than Jaime and I, whatever. Right. I know the implication is, yeah. I know the implication is that he's gay, and that him and Renly were. What if he's not fully gay, and there is something to him and his sister going on?
You do have to wonder if the scene in the HBO show was, George was still working with him on the writing at that point, and so you do have to wonder whether she really was kind of participating with Loras and Renly. Yeah. So I mean, maybe that strengthen the parallel, arguably. Yep.
Yeah.
House Tyrell continues through my brothers, Sir Loras said. It is not necessary for a third son to wed or breed. Not necessary, but some find it pleasant. What of love? When the sun is set, no candle can replace it. Is that from a song? Tyrion cocked his head, smiling. Yes, you are 17. I see that now. Sir Loras tensed. Do you mock me? A prickly lad. No, if I've given offense, forgive me. I had my own love once, and we had a song as well. I loved a maid as fair as summer with sunlight in her hair. He bid Sir Loras a good evening and went on his way. The song pointed to the first head of the dragon as the maid of winter. See Triplet Dragons episode 7. 8. It rhymes with paint. Also love how Tyrion is mindful of how he is dressed. Those details, LOL. That kind of court intrigue was real. Yep. 9. Near the kennels, a group of men-at-arms were fighting a pair of dogs. 9. Anyway, Tyrion stopped long enough to see the smaller dog tear half the face off the larger one and earned a few coarse laughs by observing that the loser now resembled Sandor Clegane. Tyrion, you've lost half your face too. Anyway, then, hoping he had disarmed their suspicions, he proceeded from the north wall down the short flight of steps to the eunuch's meager abode. The door opened as he was lifting his hand to knock. Varys? Tyrion slipped inside. Are you there?
That
Single
is
candle.
extremely odd. As
What?
he's lifting his hand to knock, Varys opens the door.
Right. And then kind of disappears back while he's in disguise. Anyway.
Right.
Varys? Tyrion slipped inside. Are you there? A single candle lit the gloom, spicing the air with the scent of jasmine. My lord, a woman sidled into the light, plump, soft, matronly, with a round pink moon of a face and heavy dark curls. Tyrion recoiled. Is something amiss? She asked. We should note this description and try and figure out how close it is to Dorcas.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Anyway.
You've been hanging out too long, we started thinking alike.
Yep. Varys, he realized with annoyance. For one horrid moment, I thought you brought me Lawless instead of Shay. Where is she? Can you just see him with his strings attached to cans, jangling together when someone gets close to his door? Okay, yeah. Here, my lord. She put her hands over his eyes from behind. Can you guess what I'm wearing? Nothing? Oh, you're so smart, she pouted, snatching her hands away. How did you know? You're very beautiful in nothing. Am I? She said. Am I truly? Oh, yes. Then shouldn't you be fucking me instead of talking? We need to rid ourselves of Lady Varys first. I'm not the sort of dwarf who likes an audience. Lady Varys and other clues have some speculating Dorcas is really a woman, but it could just be Dorcas foreshadowing. As we've pointed out, he might even be starting to lay the groundwork of the existence of Dorcas here. Right? For some reason, he wanted to be in costume as he left, and so the implication is he's doing something here that he needs to look like that, and that may be planting the seeds for Dorcas to become a servant. Just a thought.
Yeah, I tend to agree on that a lot. Now, what is the possibility that Dorcas is actually a woman?
Yeah, that's something people have wondered, and that's what I was just saying right here. That some people speculate that that's what this means, and yeah, why not? People have wondered that. Yeah.
You give it like
a woman claiming to be a eunuch. Yeah, I think it's possible. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, anything in George's world is possible.
Yep. He's gone, Shay said. Tyrion turned to look. It was true. The eunuch had vanished, skirts and all. The hidden doors are here somewhere. They have to be. That was as much as he had time to think before Shay turned his head to kiss him. Her mouth was wet and hungry, and she did not even seem to see a scar or the raw scab where his nose had been. Her skin was warm silk beneath his fingers. When his thumb brushed against her left nipple, it hardened at once. Hurry, she urged between kisses as his fingers went to his laces. Oh, hurry, hurry. I want you in me, in me, in me. He did not even have time to undress properly. Shay pulled his cock out of his breeches, then pushed him down onto the floor and climbed atop him. She screamed as he pushed past her lips and rode him wildly, moaning, my giant, my giant, my giant, every time she slammed down on him. Tyrion was so eager that he exploded in the fifth stroke, but Shay did not seem to mind. She smiled wickedly when she felt him spurting and leaned forward to kiss the sweat from his brow. My giant of Lannister, she murmured. Stay inside me, please. I like to feel you there. So Tyrion did not move except to put his arms around her. It feels so good to hold her and to be held, he thought. How can something this sweet be a crime worth hanging her for? Shay, he said, sweetling, this must be our last time together. The danger is too great. My lord father should find you. I like your scar, she traced it with her finger. It makes you look very fierce and strong. Now, keep in mind, if the reason she's immune to Varys' discovery is that she's working for Tywin, she should have absolutely no fear of Tywin, no matter how many times Tyrion tells her she needs to be afraid of Tywin.
Right. That makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't think she's dumb. I think she knows that she's immune to Tywin. Anyway, he laughed. Very ugly, you mean? My lord will never be ugly in my eyes. She kissed the scab that covered the ragged stub of his nose. It's not my face that need concern you, it's my father. He does not frighten me. And it also kind of reminds me of the fact that that Ned is specifically not afraid of Mance Rayder.
Right.
Tells Catelyn that Mance Rayder's nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Will my lord give me back my jewels and silks now? I asked Varys if I could have them when you were hurt in the battle, but he wouldn't give them to me. What would have become of them if you died? I didn't die. Here I am. I know. Shay wriggled atop him, smiling. Just where you belong. Her mouth turned pouty. But how long must I go on with Lawless now that you're well? Have you been listening? You can stay with Lawless if you like, but it would be best if you left the city. Talk about commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
Varys is a woman in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave. You promised you'd move me into a manse again
Hey,
after the battle.
if Tywin put Shay in Tyrion's bed, who put Shay in Tywin's?
Ah, that's an interesting
Now,
question. Well, I mean,
well,
I do think we get clues that she's connected to the Red Vipers family, right? So,
yeah. I agree with the Order of the Green Hand completely. That I think she's Sorellis, and if Alaris is
I don't know about that, but I mean, Toodle's argument is that maybe there's some unrecognized bastards. So anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Either way, it works out to about the same thing, right?
Right now,
she's
if Oberon is not responsible for the state of Tywin's dead body because he didn't poison him, but what if Shay did? I know there's some wording that was said, but it's still there's still that possibility.
Yeah, the author's annotation claims that he had a laceration from the removal of the crossbow bolt, and it was Cersei's fault that he smelled bad. That's what the
But here's the
annotated
thing:
version
that
says.
laceration that
right, it doesn't change the fact that
he released the poison plus the other stuff.
Right.
That would, I mean, it's still not a definite no.
As I said, I don't think it rules it out at all. Yep.
No. George hardly ever rules anything out.
Exactly.
But I know they said they wanted to wait to the very last and kill Tywin. But that was
it could have been the backup plan. Right.
Yeah, Oberon's dead. That plan is kind of out the window. So yeah, I could see. I could see her just going ahead and skipping a couple of Lannisters, which apparently he didn't have a problem with Tyrion, because Tyrion was supposed to leave the capital with him after the wedding or after the duel that saves Tyrion's life. He's like, you're not going to be welcome here anymore. Your life is going to be. You might want to just leave with me and head to Dorne or wherever they were going to go next.
To crown Myrcella.
Yeah.
If George could just rule stuff out, we would have wins and Dream and Duncan Egg and Fire and Blood too. Exactly.
Yep.
Her cunt gave him a little squeeze, and he started to stiffen again inside her. A Lannister always pays his debts, you said. Shay, gods be damned, stop that. Listen to me. You have to go away. The city's full of Tyrells just now, and I'm closely watched. You don't understand the dangers. Again, we think maybe she does. Can I come to the king's wedding feast?
I just thought of something. All right. He is said that he has gone to see the eunuch. He goes to see the eunuch. If the eunuch leaves, that's a red flag.
Sure.
So
Dorcas should not be seen as anything other than
Dorcas cannot leave as Dorcas because then it would raise suspicion that Tyrion was not there to meet him.
Or Varys has to leave as Dorcas.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think the groundwork is being laid for Dorcas, but that would be something that popped in the head.
Yeah, I definitely want to compare that. If there's a description of Dorcas, definitely want to compare that. Lawless won't go. I told her no one's like to rape her in the king's own throne room, but she's so stupid. This kind of reminds me of Arya.
Yeah.
When Shay rolled off, his cock slid out of her. Of course, wasn't he supposed to wind up with Arya originally? Anyway.
Well, that was a triangle between him and Jon and Arya.
Yeah.
So Shay reminding you of Arya might not be that far off. It was the intentional.
Right. When Shay rolled off, his cock slid out of her with a soft, wet sound. Simon says it to be a singer's tourney and tumblers, even a fool's joust. So some of these things are some of the things that she's going to talk about are going to be things that are like right before the the poisoning, and that's one of the things people point out.
Okay.
Tyrion had almost forgotten about Shay's thrice damned singer. How was he spoke to Simon? I told Lady Tanda about him, and she hired him to play for Lawless. The music calms her when the baby starts to kick. Simon says there should be a dancing bear at the feast, and wines from the arbor. I've never seen a bear dance. They do it worse than I do. It was the singer who concerned him, not the bear. One careless word in the wrong ear, and Shay would hang. Simon says there to be 77 courses and 100 doves baked into a great pie, Shay gushed. When the crusts open, they all burst out and fly. After which they will roost in the rafters and rain down bird shit on the guests. Tyrion had suffered such wedding pies before. The doves liked to shit on him especially, or so he'd always suspected. Couldn't I dress in my silks and velvets and go as a lady instead of a maidservant? No one would know I wasn't. Everyone would know you weren't, thought Tyrion. Lady Tanda might wonder where Lawless's bedmate found so many jewels.
That last bit, no one would know I wasn't, might hint that she can play the lady.
Oh yeah,
quite well because she has been trained how to.
Tyrion thinks that she can't play a lady, but that doesn't mean that she can't play a lady because this could all be an act. Yeah, that's absolutely true. There's to be 1,000 guests, Simon says. She'd never even see me. I'd find a place in some dark corner below the salt, but whenever you got up to go to the privy, I could slip out and meet you. That sounds like Mance at Winterfell, doesn't it? She cupped his cock and of course, and by that I mean that the fact that no one would notice Arthur Dayne if he were there, if they weren't expecting to see him there, and if he were keeping his head down. And plus, Mance is the most boring looking guy there is. He looks nothing like a wildling and nothing like a king,
and nothing like a Dane. So I still think it's a glamour,
especially with the long gray hair, right? Because Arthur Dayne would have had short dark hair, and he has long
gray and brown
hair, right? And I mean, he looks less like Arthur Dayne used to look than Catelyn looks when she looks straight in the eyes of Jason Mallister, right?
Yeah,
boldly studies him.
I know you don't agree, but I still say it's a
no. I don't think it's necessary. I think that's part of the point, is for him to have all these different characters be who they're not. He needs to establish the fact that in a world where there's no photographs, there's no videos, where nobody knows what anybody looks like except for abstract paintings, right? Yeah, it's. I mean, I know that he actually. The exception is the one time.
Here's the thing.
There's an exception to that. There's an exception to that. Right? He specifically tells us that there's a photorealistic style of painting in. I want to say, is it Liz? But he has the portrait of Marjorie, right? And Ned tells you that it's in the specific realistic style.
Shit. What is the portraits that Littlefinger wants? The tapestries? What if there's people in there that are supposed to be dead and their image is trapped in those hunting tapestries?
Oh, if they actually show Arthur Dayne or
somebody,
Louis Martell or somebody that maybe or a certain Kettle Black.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like that. I love it when we get to talk a little bit because it's kind of brainstorm there.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Me too. Yeah. But okay, getting back to the little glamour. The whole reason that Mance Rayder needed, or Sir Arthur needed the glamour is he was never Mance Rayder before the Shadowcat killed Mance Rayder. And the reason the red silk is put
you think they swap places?
Exactly. I think the reason that the red silk is there is to where Sir Arthur Dayne knows which cloak to wear to pull forth the image of Mance Rayder. And then once he's told you can't keep that cloak, he's gone before the next day because he doesn't want to be discovered.
Yeah, but then why have the fake story? Why tell us that Osha doesn't believe that he was born up there?
Well, you got to remember, he goes north of the wall after he leaves the Night's Watch, and then that is when the wildlings learn a lot about,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, yeah.
traitors,
I
things
would
don't
definitely
add
agree.
up.
It's somewhat ambiguous whether that
Yeah,
really says that his backstory is fake or not. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
Okay.
She cupped his cock and stroked it gently. I won't wear any small clothes under my gown, so my lord won't even need to unlace me. Her fingers teased him up and down. Or if he liked, I could do this for him. She took him in her mouth. Tyrion was soon ready again. This time he lasted much longer. When he finished, Shay crawled back up him and curled up naked under his arm. You'll let me come, won't you? Shay, he groaned. It is not safe. I don't know. He hasn't let you come this whole chapter, as far as I can tell. Anyway.
That was pretty good. I like that. That's not like something I would say. Well, see, also, gee, I tend to agree with you on the Tyrion Tywin front. Also about the coming too, but uh, that she has no fear of Tywin or of Tywin.
This whole chapter
Hey,
is the sexy part of it, but thank you for coming.
uh,
Or
she has
many
no
other
fear of
chapters.
Tywin at all.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's extremely likely. It really makes more sense that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For a time, she said nothing at all. Tyrion tried to speak of other things, but he met a wall of sullen courtesy as icy and unyielding as the wall he'd once walked in the north. Gods be good, he thought wearily as he watched the candle burn down and begin to gutter. How could I let this happen again after Taisha? Am I as great a fool as my father thinks? Gladly would he have given her the promise she wanted, and gladly walked her back to his own bedchamber on his arm to let her dress in the silks and velvets she loved so much. Had the choice been his, she would have sat beside him at Joffrey's wedding feast and danced with all the bears she liked. He could not see her hang. And yet he'll basically hang her when he finds her in Tywin's bed.
Yeah.
When the candle burned out, Tyrion disentangled himself and lit another. Then he made a round of the walls, tapping on each in turn, searching for the hidden door. Shay sat with her legs drawn up and her arms wrapped around them, watching him. Finally, she said, They're under the bed, the secret steps. Same as he gets from Sansa, lol. Same comparison to the reference to the wall. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
He looked at her incredulous. The bed? The bed is solid stone. It weighs half a ton. It's the place where Varys pushes and it floats right up. I asked him how, and he said it was magic. Yes, Tyrion had to grin. A counterweight spell. Shay
Mhm.
stood. I should go back. Sometimes the baby kicks and Lois wakes and calls for me. Varys should return shortly. He's probably listening to every word we say. Tyrion set the candle down. There was a wet spot on the front of his breeches, but in the darkness it ought to go unnoticed. He told Shay to dress and wait for the eunuch. I will, she promised. You are my lion, aren't you, my giant of Lannister? I am, he said, and you're a whore. She laid a finger to his lips. I know. I'd be your lady, but I never can. Else you'd take me to the feast. It doesn't matter. I like being a whore for you, Tyrion. Just keep me, my lion, and keep me safe. I shall, he promised. Fool, fool, the voice inside him screamed. Why did you say that? You came here to send her away. Instead, he kissed her once more. The walk back seemed long and lonely. Podrick
Hey,
Payne
was
was asleep.
the voice inside him screaming, possibly somebody else?
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a good call. Some Brantham leaping, perhaps.
Maybe.
The walk back seemed long and lonely. Podrick Payne was asleep in his trundle bed at the foot of Tyrion's, but he woke the boy. Bronn, he said. Sir Bronn? Pod rubbed the sleep from his eyes. Oh, should I get him, my lord? Why, no. I woke you up so we could have a little chat about the way he dresses, said Tyrion, but his sarcasm was wasted. Pod only gaped at him in confusion until he threw up his hands and said, Yes, get him. Bring him. Now. The lad dressed hurriedly and all but ran from the room. Am I really so terrifying? Tyrion wondered as he changed into a bedrobe and poured himself some wine. When you tell somebody now who's supposed to serve you, what do you expect them to do?
Well, I mean, the way Podrick Payne is portrayed, except at battle, which apparently he's freaking Sir Arthur Dayne, the fact that he is able to survive on the road by himself until he meets up with
Yeah,
Brienne, it's there's a lot more going on with Pod than definitely meets the eye, even besides the battle part. Um,
yeah. I mean, mostly he just gets nervous around people, but he's highly competent.
yes.
He was on his third cup, and half the night was gone before Pod finally returned with the sellsword knight in tow. I hope the boy had a damn good reason dragging me out of Chatea's, Bronn said as he seated himself. Chitayas? Tyrion said annoyed. Sorry if I pronounced that differently, but I think I like Chitayas better. You heard it here first, folks. Pod is Sir Arthur Dane.
That's one hell of a glamour.
It's good to be a knight. No more looking for the cheaper brothels down the street, Bronn grinned. Now it's a la Yaya and Marie in the same feather bed with Sir Bronn in the middle. Tyrion had to bite back his annoyance. Bronn had as much right to bed a la Yaya as any other man, but still, I never touched her much as I wanted to, but Bronn could not know that. He should have kept his cock out of her. He dare not visit Chitayas himself. If he did, Cersei would see that his father heard of it, and Yaya would suffer more than a whipping. It sent the girl a necklace of silver and jade and a pair of matching bracelets by way of apology. But other than that, this is fruitless. There's a singer who calls himself Simon Silvertongue, Tyrion said wearily, pushing his guilt aside. He plays for Lady Tanda's daughter sometimes. What of him? Kill him, he might have said, but the man had done nothing but sing a few songs. He filled Shay's sweet head with visions of doves and dancing bears. Find him, he said instead. Find him before someone else does. That also sounds like there could be some internal debate going on there.
Yeah, but I do like because she does mention the dancing bear, and then the last thing she mentions is the doves and the pie. So
right, and that's kind of the point. Is people say that she seems to know the sequence of events that lead right up to the poisoning. So
okay, now who would you say that pointed that out?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I know that. Probably Toodles. Actually, now I think about it.
Okay.
Because he's the one that's convinced that she's the unrecognized daughter of Oberyn, is what he believes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he also thinks Arianne is Oberyn.
He thinks what?
He thinks Arianne is actually Oberyn's. So you've got what's his name? The camera that rides. The captain of guards. What's his name?
Arthur Marbury?
No. Our eyes in Dorne. Dornish POV.
Arya Hota?
Yeah, Arya Hota specifically mentions that Obara's eyes, and then he mentions Arianne's eyes, and then he tells us that all of Hota, yes, tells us that all of Oberyn's daughters have his eyes, although the colors differ sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And what he means is that they have big eyes where Obara does not, and it's strongly implied that Obara is not his, right? In fact,
now I always took that.
Her mother says she's not, and
I always took
but
that
he says,
as the fierceness in which they look out. The not necessarily the color, but I mean,
it's pretty clear in the context that he's saying that it's the shape of their eyes, but not the color.
Okay. Yeah,
and he's kind of seems to have observed this like shortly after he notices Arianne's eyes and Obara's eyes, and the fact that Obara doesn't really have his eyes and that Arianne does.
Okay.
Of course, that could be because he is her uncle. She's supposed to look like him, Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, you're in Dorne. I mean, you've been told what Dorne look like. Why mention her eyes?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I'm like, yeah, and of course we know he's. It's possible that he really does prefer Trystane and want Trystane to be taken.
Now, does Oakheart mention her eyes when they meet?
Probably. Okay.
Well, I know he mentions her boob quite a bit, but
of course. So up next is Storm 13, Arya 2. You have to know me. You used to lead my pony when I was little.
Makes you want to cry when you read that little section.
Oh yeah.
There are times, as tough as Arya is, and as badass as she is, there are times that she does remind you exactly how old she is, and it tears at your heartstrings a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now now do you want to go into? Yeah, I agree, Lizzie.
Oh yeah. So we were talking about the timing of the poisoning and stuff. I noticed that the Nauticast podcast had just did the Purple Wedding, and they pointed out that the wine is specifically referred to with the word purple there at the end. So when we get there, I think we need to pay careful attention. Is it specifically referred to as red up until that point when
Mhm.
it's referred when at the end it's referred to as purple?
Yeah. Now,
I'm
anytime
curious to
that
see
I
that.
think in this story and it's a red wine, I automatically think Arbor Red. Um, so I mean, I don't know what color wines are and all that kind of stuff, but now when
Well, Arbor Gold
Maester,
is the one you hear about the most, is in terms of
yeah.
the Arbor.
Now, is there a mentioning of the color of the wine with Maester Crescent?
I don't know. That's a good
I
question.
don't. I don't think so, but it's definitely worth going back and taking a look at.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, anyway,
wh-
we'll definitely have to pay careful attention to that chapter and see if he does tell us that it's red over and over again up until he tells us it's purple at the end.
right now, I told you when we do the Purple Wedding, we definitely have to put the passage in there when Maester Crescent
Yeah, you want
drinks
to
the wine,
compare.
how quickly because that's
Right,
the
right. It's just a drop, whereas
yeah.
Joffrey's like guzzling the wine.
Right. Yeah, he's got the very. I mean, she left him almost nothing,
Right.
and it within seconds, it's almost instantaneous. So
Yep.
who is that?
Preston.
Yeah. Preston Jacobs. I'm the world's worst on the videos I watch. We were talking about it the other
It's
day.
hard to keep it all
Uh,
straight.
if it's not mine, and which a lot of the stuff isn't, I'll take what somebody said and kind of twist it a little bit, or add what two people said and put it together. But other than Lord Willem Dustin being Tormund, the rest of the stuff's pretty much not mine. I just think here and there. Even though I did have
Well,
the
you're the one that convinced me that that Varys has to be somebody, and
yeah.
then you were initially thinking maybe Pycelle, and I'm like, I think it's
That was the
Dorcas.
reason why
And
the corpse was.
I,
Yeah, I was sitting there looking
I
for
searched for
straws.
theories on that. I found somebody mentioned, well, he could be Dorcas, and I was like, I started looking at that, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you told me, it was like Lady Thistle's mic drop. I was like, hell yeah, that's it, without a doubt. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
he's right where he needs to be. He's got
yeah,
all the
yeah.
gossip. He gets to hear all the spilling tea, whatever.
Maybe the cooks made the pie extra dry so you're guaranteed to drink the wine. It was the cooks the whole time. This will be the last time Joffrey talks shit on our tarts. There's people
Hot pie.
that say that Cersei is too quick to jump to poison, and that maybe she was trying to in on the poisoning of Tyrion that went wrong
Yeah.
and killed her son. There's
Well,
I think that Tywin is too calm about things, and that it implies to me that Tywin intended Joffrey to die. That's how I like to interpret it.
Well, in my opinion, adding on what Preston Jacobs thinks, I think it's Tyrion. I think that Littlefinger has convinced so many different people, the Tyrells to open up Sansa for marriage, uh,
Hmm.
Cersei to just get rid of the little monster, Tyrion or Tywin to get rid of his abomination that everybody see. All these different people um, are in on it, even though they don't know that they're in on it with other people. They think it's just them and Littlefinger, them and Littlefinger, them and Littlefinger.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always rooting for the theory that Joffrey accidentally poisoned himself. Oh, I love that journey for him. Yeah, I
Exactly.
can see
That's the fourth one. Yeah. But yeah, I think Littlefinger has just
that.
done a teetotal number on everybody, and Littlefinger himself. So I mean, there's five people right there. You got Littlefinger, Tywin, Cersei, Joffrey, the Tyrell, and all of them are linked to Littlefinger, but they don't know about each other. And
Oh,
it's just
it could even be Oberyn trying to take away
exactly
everything this
just
year to Tywin before killing him.
right. Well, I mean, if he kills Tyrion, then of course he's known for, and he even points it out. Why am I not a suspect? He was planning on being a suspect to where he could call
Yeah,
for
he could have
trial
been
by
in on it
combat.
and
With
wanting them to accuse him. Yeah, that's definitely possible.
right, and that was the main reason that the bloody mummers cut off the hand of Jamie to where Jamie couldn't be the one that Oberon fight. This is
Yeah,
all a long plan,
right.
and
The
because
whole Doors master plan
he
idea
wanted
that
the
all the
mountain.
Kingsguard are taken out of commission, other than yep.
They wanted the mountain. or he wanted the mountain. He made sure that was their only option would be the mountain. But okay, we're at an hour. Holy crap, we're getting really good about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's been a good discussion too. I like it. We've covered a lot of nice stuff
well,
here.
I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you. All right, I mean, you've gotten so used to the way I think that you point out things that I would say anyways when you write your script. So there's not a whole lot for me to say or be stupid about. And so when we go off script a little bit and kind of brainstorm, those are my favorite parts of the live stream. That's why I think the video I want to do for Who's Who of Song of Ice and Fire, I definitely want us to do that together. And I want it to kind of be off script. We'll have a list of people and their names associated with them or who they might potentially be.
Outline or checklist or something. Sure.
Yeah, a checklist, but I still want the conversation to be like it is when we're off script on here, just kind of natural conversation between two people, and just see where the video takes us. I mean, we can start out small with somebody that only got a couple of potential or names or whatever, and then work our way big, or go big and go or work our way small, or just kind of just bounce back and forth, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think conversation on that subject between me and you, because like Lady Thistle, Lizzie, all them, you're one of the smartest people I know when it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire. You definitely watch a whole lot more other content than I do. Which I do that a lot. I kind of pulled back just because I didn't want all of my opinions tainted, because I tend to believe the last video that I watched, whatever they said is kind of how I lean. And I don't like that. I like it to be more kind of organic, and then just kind of go off the hip, my gut. That's like the TV's Who's Done It mysteries or whatever. I solve them within the first 5-10 minutes. It's always a gut reaction to what I'm seeing on the screen. And I'm trying to do that more with the books instead of watching Order Green Hand or was it GM Quinn? And I mean, some of Kevin Pendragon. I love them. Okay. They're great. They make really great videos, but I'm trying to get that more organic gut feeling from what I see on the page, or like when we have a conversation and then there's a little light bulb moment.
Plus, too many of them I feel are kind of building on a castle of sand, where they've taken the interpretations that we don't like as much and built up on those, and then I'm like, it's
and I was telling Lizzie the other day, I mean, some of the newer channels that have came out within the last year are basically just rehashing what they've watched somebody else say. They have no, I mean, it's hard to come up with original stuff, but they have no.
I started off thinking that Edric Stoneskin was going to be that. Oh, this is all LML. And then he went further, and I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Now he's one of the new channels that I do like. I'm not naming him. I won't name any names. Anybody else? I did the other day with Lizzie and them, but I won't do it on here. That's rude. I would not do that to anybody else. I wouldn't want to do it to me. But we tend to, if it's somebody else's opinion or somebody else that said it, you definitely remember the names a whole lot better than I do. I will like that. If somebody else said that, I can't remember. Chances are somebody on here will remember who did it or whatever. But I don't want to have other people's opinion. I don't want to put it out as my opinion. But I do like to point out several different opinions when it comes to certain things. So, but all right,
interesting interpretations anyway. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, to sit there and look at several different ways, and especially the way George writes, several different ways one incident can be interpreted, might help you get to what it is. Well, I mean, because you're sitting there, you'll weed out the less likely, the what's more likely. Oh, well, remember this from 6 chapters ago. That little seed from the book before, because George likes to spread his crap out, or give you the answer on this topic, the Maester Crescent give you the answer before you get to the purple wedding, which is the question, and you really don't put the two together because the answer was way ahead of this. Does that make sense? You don't
Absolutely.
know that incident is going to answer a question later on in the book. You don't. I
Right,
mean,
right. The clues are planted earlier than the questions, so that
yeah.
you're
I
you
mean,
don't
George.
even and then you don't even notice it until on reread and you go, oh,
Yeah.
right.
Well, I didn't
Like
notice it until the
Sweet
press.
Robin's fostering, right? Like Sweet Robin's fostering. You don't realize that that's actually what's going on and what's been the motivation of the killing. You're still
Well,
thinking it's to cover up the twins. And it is even on as you start your first reread, you're probably still haven't really connected the dots and realized maybe you did, but I don't know. I feel like I
well,
didn't
see,
really
on
realize
the
that in
Sweet
my first
Robin
reread.
and the death of John Aaron, I think that the fostering is the carrot that Littlefinger used for Lysa, but the reason he did it was because John Aaron was about to find out that Sweet Robin was not his, and
Yeah, I mean, I think he knew, and he
Littlefinger
was.
didn't.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
Littlefinger.
even better.
Yeah, Littlefinger was
Yeah, I
trying
think he
to.
had figured that out. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and he probably was going to have to. He probably was going to actually have to back Stannis because he was planting. He was going to have Robert at fostered by Stannis, so Stannis would have had a hostage against him.
Yeah.
So he probably did have to back Stannis as the heir.
Well, I mean, I agree with the opinion that John Aaron knew
Oh
that
yeah, definitely.
Joffrey and Tommen and Marcella were not Roberts. The
Oh yeah,
whole
definitely.
talking to breeders and going to see Edric, or not
Right,
Edric, but Gendry
Gendry.
was not for Robert's offspring, but was for his own. He was trying to
Right,
uh,
right. No,
put
I
two and
definitely
two
think.
together on
Yeah,
heritage and
right.
dominant
No, no.
traits and all
He
that
was
kind of
getting
stuff.
very mad with his wife. We're specifically told he was getting very mad with his wife as he was doing
Yeah,
his research. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely implied. I agree.
yeah. Okay, well, we're at a minute, an hour.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Okay. All right, everybody. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. As always on Fridays, I want everybody to have a safe but a wonderful and fun weekend. We will see y'all Monday with Arya 2, so we can all cry together. I will bring my
It's Harwin.
tissue. Thank you, Lizzie. We love you too. And have a
Absolutely.
good weekend. I have had a rough week, and today's live stream has put me in an extremely good mood. I
Excellent.
thank all of you. I thank Richard. It's probably one of my favorite that we've had, and here lately they've been more entertaining and energetic and
Yeah.
and heartfelt. I don't know if that's the right word, but I mean they just like I said they've been kind of more organic
Okay.
and definitely have raised my energy level and my spirit. So I thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and we will see y'all Monday. Y'all take care. Be good. Have a good weekend, Richard.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.